Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Learning, Monitoring, and Evaluation webinar series. This is the first of the webinar series, and we are very excited to have you joining us. The first session, the first part will be focusing on using visual arts for social change. And today we are very excited to have a wonderful speaker from East African visual artist, Kyabayinze Vincent, who is the executive director of for East Africa Visual Artists. And my name is Peiyao Chen. I'm the moderator. I'm the Learning Monitoring and Evaluation Advisor for AmplifyChange. So far, we have scheduled 5 webinar sessions as part of the series. So this is the first one of the 5 parts focusing on visual art for social change. The next one will take place on May 8th, and we encourage you to participate. We have sent out an email invitation with all the sessions lined up. We'll have more coming up soon, so stay tuned. With that, I'm going to turn over to Vincent, who is going to share with us how his organization is using visual arts for social change and how they are measuring results and tracking progress. Vincent, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Pio. Thank you, everyone, for joining this webinar. It's really interesting that, according to what I see, we are all coming from different parts of the world, so it's really amazing. So, my name is Vincent Kyabayinze, the director of East African Visual Artists. African Visual Artists is a visual arts organization that started in 2012. We use visual arts to advance social change and human rights for everyone. So once again, I welcome you all, and yes, I hope we'll take some lessons from this webinar. So as you can see on your screens on the agenda, so we have 1, why use visual arts? 2, how is it effective, or how is visual arts effective? 3, how do you identify the problem and solutions? 4, who is your target audience and why? Then 5, how do you know that actually you are making an impact? Then 6, how do you use learning to inform the current work? 7, do visual arts create impact or even inform discourse? And how do you know? Then 8, what is the impact of social media in our works or activism? So I'll start with why use visual arts, or why is visual arts important? So I'll give a brief of, in Uganda, and not only in Uganda, but freedom of expression now, according to where we're leading, it's being cramped on and it's limited, depending on the topics we work on. So it's very difficult. So in Uganda, LGBTI persons have no space to express themselves. Mainstream media provides no space for the LGBTI engagements and representation. So that's why we need to use visual arts. When the media space is limited, you have to look for solutions. And how do you find solutions? It's through art, because art speaks and art engages. Then 2, the reason as to why you use visual arts is because visual arts reaches a wider audience faster and more effectively. Because you look at the literacy levels within our communities we come from. Few people are able to read and write. Those who can read, sometimes it's very difficult to interpret what they read. That means that there will be miscommunication. You can type something meaning a different message, and then the receiver interprets the message differently. So that means you're not communicating. But with art, the imagery speaks direct to the viewer. So that's another reason why we should use visual arts. And also the message reaches faster, because with the new technologies evolving, it's easy to create a video and you share it on WhatsApp, share it on Facebook, share it on any social media. And also, you have to, when you go to the communities and then you carry out screenings, you have the audience there. So everyone understands each other, and the interpretation, it's based on the viewer. So someone doesn't have to really scratch so hard to understand what you're trying to communicate. 2, visual art is accessible across all social boundaries. Right now I'm in Uganda, but when you check on YouTube, you can access all the works we've been doing. And then you can also comment, learn something, and share with one or two individuals within your communities, which is not easily done when I have a PDF document, because you have to know me or I have to know the organization to share that PDF document. But with that, you just Google maybe East African video artist, then you will see, and then you see how is it done, what is happening, what change are they trying to advocate for. So you break boundaries, very accessible and very easy. Also, art helps to mobilize communities towards social action. Why? Because art has played a role in social justice and education, in community building and activism. So it provides a universal language that gives voice to individuals and communities to engage each other. Because when you watch something, you want to take part. You want to create change there and then, because you see it happening in front of your eyes. Yes. So also art inspires people. When you see a video, when you see an image, you're inspired to make it. So I want us to look at this video, then we can proceed further.
Okay, I'm built Hadjit Abdul Jamal Uthman. I am a trans woman. I'm a youth. I'm a young person. I'm aged 22 years. I'm a Msaga by tribe. I'm a Muslim by religion. I'm a sex worker by profession. And probably an activist and a mother too. Yeah, that's me as a person.
Once they realize that you're trans, in most cases, of course, the first thing they want to do is they want to undress you. They want to really know if you are. So as a trans man, I have learned to live when I am good to everyone. That is just a security mechanism.
Me, I believe God created everyone differently, and we all don't have the same ear. We can't all hear the same. We can't see the same things. We can't feel the same. So that's what people have to accept. You either love me for who I am, or let me be who I want to be.
They should stop hating because they are hurting us. They are killing us. Most of us, some of us commit suicide because of being rejected. So why would you be rejected for who you were born to be? Why would they discriminate you because of who you are? If I'm born with one eye, should you throw me away?
The government needs to understand that we're here and we're not going anywhere. We have no intention of not being Ugandans, you know? But what does it mean to be a Ugandan? I think there's a lot missing in terms of recognizing that people are here, trans and intersex people are here. They've been here for a long time. But the second point is to listen when we present these reports and information to them, to say these are the issues. We need government. We need a government that's responsive. That's what we need.
Yes, now that takes us to how is art effective in social change. Now we have two things in a video. We have the visual image, and then we have the audio, and then you have the expression. So when we are creating these videos, you look at all those aspects, that how is the person in the video going to communicate to the audience? Because when you look at it, you ask yourself, why should someone be killed because of who they are? That comes to you as a human being. It goes down to you as a human being. That someone who is like me, we share the same blood. Should they be killed because of their sexual orientation or their gender identity? You know, then you definitely, as a human being, would say no, it's not. You know, so then that shows that art reaches a broader audience and stories don't stop because art is a universal language. When produced well, everyone can understand without explanation. So when you look at this video, you see what they are talking about. You see the pain in their eyes and you see what they are demanding for. But I can't put that down in writing. It can only be expressed because with art helps us to put a picture to a story. Because what we are fighting for, it's life. You know, that people are being killed and people think, no, it's a joke. Maybe they don't, because for example, in Uganda, people think trans people don't exist, LGBT people don't exist. So with art, we put a picture, we put a face to a story, that we amplify voices, excuse me, we amplify voices of our communities to speak, and stories don't stop. With art, this story is moving. You know, it was produced in Uganda, but it has reached across the globe. So people make contribution in different ways. I'll give you an example about some of the people who took part in this project. One of them wrote to me some time back that after the launch, people were in the audience. One came up to her and said, you know, I've liked your story. What challenges do you go through? Needed some support to access nutritional support, food, and things like that. So this person is supporting her with, as she told me, supporting her with 15 euros every month, you know, for food. It might seem like small money, but that's how effective a story can be if crafted well. Two, people believe by seeing. In Uganda, people are conservative and don't want to read. The moment someone sees anything with LGBTI or human rights, they don't want to give it time, you know. So, but when someone sees a video, it pauses and stops for a while. They want to see how does the story end, because as human beings, you want to see something. Because when you see, you feel. So that's how art is effective, because art speaks to us. It's me and the subject. It's you, the viewer, and the person telling you the story. So art is very very effective because all generations have been using visual arts. All the struggles and all the movements, and even up to now, pictures are inspiring people to make change. Of recent, all of us, we are celebrating the woman in Sudan, that picture which was taken. She's now the face of the revolution. But generations that will come before us, they'll be like, yes, you know, you can stand up for anything. We remember when the story of migration was too much. Everyone saw that picture of the baby who was on the shores of the ocean. People, because of that, people stood up and they wanted to do something, and indeed they did something. So it shows you that even in the struggles we are working on, how, no matter the subject you're trying to address, no matter the area you're coming from, but image has that power to inspire, then connect. So we look at how do you identify the problem, and then how do you find a solution. And now this is very key when we are doing visual arts work, because you don't just imagine. Because if you want to imagine, then you can do a fiction story. But if you're doing advocacy, if you want to change something, then you need to identify the problem. How do you start by identifying the problem? One, you look at the community, all the country you're coming from, because we all come from different countries and we all have different regulations. So if the country you're in, maybe you have limited freedom of expression, now you start by knowing that, okay, the broader picture is freedom of expression is limited. Then you scale it down to which community am I serving? In our case, we are serving the LGBTI community. So we look at what problems are LGBTI persons facing in Uganda, and are the cause of the problems. Then we say we have religious fundamentalists who will say anything they want. We have politicians, and then so now when you look at these components, now you've started identifying the problem. So now you're like, how do I engage? How do I start working towards achieving change? So now, for example, in our case, we have our problem. It's comprised of we have a religious fundamentalist. So these religious fundamentalists own the media. That means we have limited media space. We have politicians. That means these are the guys who are in charge of making the laws and regulations in our country. Then we have the general community, the population we live in. Because they are fed on the media, which is owned by religious fundamentalists, so that means the information they have is inappropriate. So we need to change their attitudes towards the LGBT community by communicating to them. So what is the solution now? The solution is to be, when you're producing a visual media clip, for example, you have to be objective, because you have to leave room for those even who don't understand what you're advocating for to understand. I'll give you an example in our situation, like in Uganda, but I think it resonates with all of Africa. It's very difficult for when a woman gets married, they will start demanding, we need a male child, we need a male child, we need a male child. So sometimes these mothers go through a lot of things to get these children. So now she has given birth to a male son. Now this male son comes to her mother and tells her that, you know what, mom, I'm not John, I'm Ruth. Okay? So as a person who is going to create this clip, you have to leave room for this mother. How does she understand that actually I gave birth to Ruth, not John, by being objective? So you try to do a background check on how, now you let Ruth speak to her mom that, you know, I've gone through all this, you know, but this is who I am. I discovered that I'm not John, I'm Ruth at the age of 14 or at the age of 10, you know. So then the mom will start, she'll look back, you know, she'll look back and say, maybe because this is how she was behaving. So you're finding a solution, but you're not forcing, because when you're doing visual arts, there are two things. Sometimes you can create a media that is one-sided, whereby you don't give an alternative to the viewer. It's what you want against what they think. But we believe that in advocacy, it's very important. In our case, when you look at all the works we do, we put that room for everyone to understand. Then two, for example, many people work with the healthcare providers, you know, and you give them training, they come in workshops so that they can offer better services. Now, it's very easy for people to come in a workshop, sit even if for 3 days, sign per diem, and go back. How do you track that they're actually doing something? Now, with visual arts, you have these people on record that actually you said you will do A, B, C, D. And then also as an advocate, you have to create simple media tools, and then you engage them. Like they have to see that actually, okay, this is what we're supposed to do as healthcare providers. This is what our ethic rules say, and this is what we need to do. Because by creating short clips and document these individuals from all these different hospitals, you're putting them on record that any LGBTI person anywhere, if he sees a face, when they go to those hospitals, they will try to look out for that individual they saw. Because one, they know this person was trained very well. Two, he knows the risks we go through, because one of the biggest challenges when LGBT persons go to access health services, when they meet a healthcare provider who is not friendly, they are backed at, and no one wants to be backed at when you're sick. Even when you're not sick, but human nature, no one wants to be backed at. No one wants to be looked down upon. So, but when they go there and see these individuals who were trained, it's so easy. They just connect, like, I'm here to access these services. And also this individual, because he knows that actually he appeared somewhere making statements, he can't go back on his word. Two, and this is very important to all of us like grantees. We all look for funds, and sometimes our partners, usually I don't like to use the word donors, but our partners, they have thematic areas. But sometimes these thematic areas are not really in line with what the challenges the community face. So it's very important for you as a grantee to try and engage, to write your concept the way you like it to be. Because what is very important, it's you raising awareness on a community issue. Because the visual art, with visual arts, you can't lie. You either do as you said or you don't do anything, because this is visual evidence which someone has to look at. So when you look at thematic areas, sometimes it's maybe you're going to do advocacy, but even if you're doing advocacy, you can use visual arts to do advocacy. You can use visual arts to engage people to access healthcare services. You can use visual arts to do workshops. But you create these visual medias, and then you show them in the workshops you're organizing. You don't have to always to say, because the donor said, the partner said, this is what they are looking at, so I can't use visual arts. No. Think about your concept and then look at the problem in the community you're working in, and then create, because with visual arts you have to create first and then you engage. You can't engage before you create. So then who is your target audience and why? Target audience is key. And why do you look at the target audience? Now, in ours, we work with the LGBTI community because we are LGBTI persons and we know the challenges we face every day. So how do you break down your target audience? Now, in our case in Uganda, we look at the lawmakers because they're in charge of making the laws, and laws affect us differently. So we look at religious leaders because they have, in Uganda, I don't know in other countries, but in Uganda now they have a very large following that they pray from Monday to Sunday. We always ask ourselves, when do they go to work? So they have a lot of following. Then we look at civil society organizations, activists, social media influencers, and the general public. Now, when we look at this target audience, when we create the visual media, we are targeting the lawmakers to inform them that actually the laws you're legislating, this is how they're affecting the communities. We give them more information in that when they listen, they go and engage with some of their other partners. And then they start talking but according to the information we have, I think we are making a mistake. For example, when they introduced the anti-homosexuality bill and then it went into court and it was scrapped. The thing was that they didn't have information, because people think LGBTI do not exist. That's the fact in Uganda. That's what people used to think. But now because there is a face, now they know, okay. So you look at the lawmakers, you look at people, you look at your audience, one, on the impact you're looking at. What are you looking at? Are you looking at changing some laws? Are you looking at maybe creating a better environment for people to live in? Because sometimes you can have progressive laws, but when the environment is harsh, so you look at the lawmakers that, okay, we want progressive laws, but how do you make these progressive laws? Look at this. This is the evidence. We have people being killed. Our constitution is saying no one should be killed. Everyone should be respected. So then you look at lawmakers. Now we look at religious leaders. Why? Because religious leaders have a lot of following, and people believe And that's how we are constructed. People believe in this really, the men with a cassock, the men who put on those gowns, that whenever they say something, they will follow. Now you look at religious leaders, you're telling them to speak for the LGBTI community, not against the LGBTI community. Now, when you have one religious leader who are still active in service, you have his clip on social media saying, the Bible says, love one another. We should not kill anyone. We should not hate anyone. That is very powerful. You're creating change. That means that his followers, they will question, because it's human, they will question, but they will pick the message. Then you're communicating. Two, civil society organizations. In our work, we look for networks and partnership. For example, we have visual arts organization, but we need another organization that maybe provides free legal services. In that, when you're carrying out a training, you finish training, people talk about laws in all these videos we make. You need someone who can break it down to every person to understand. When someone says, I'm not allowed to register my names the way I want, I'm not allowed, my gender marker, I can't put it on my ID. So you need someone who has that background in law to break it down for people to understand, and then they can create change. So you may want to do a screening, but when you don't have the connections in police, I would say in police, or you don't have connections in the media council. So what you do, you need civil societies that are working closely with the police, civil societies that work with different organizations, so that you share knowledge and then they can help you achieve your goal. Activists. We all need activists. People will go out there, stand and say, enough is enough. And all this target audience, the key point is networking. You're networking with them. So then you look at social media influencers, because when you produce this work, you need someone who has close to 1.3 million views to share something, to say something, because people who society looks at as people influencing, people are changing minds in any, let it be fashion, let it be music. The moment they speak for, not against, expect change. It will be slow, but definitely you will have change. So then you have the general population, the public we live in. People in the taxi we board every day, the landlords where we stay, in the marketplace where we buy food. Name them. If they don't understand who you are, even if the lawmakers made a progressive law, they will lynch you in a town square because they don't know you. They believe it's what you are is wrong, like you saw in a video. They want to undress you to see, okay, who are you? Now, if you're saying you are a woman, but for us, we see you are a man. So that's how you look at your target audience. That one, you look at why the general public is so important. It's because they're the people you live with every day, and they need to understand. And they are the most difficult target group to engage. But the most important thing is that when information is going out, you see progress. So you don't leave people out because you think, no, maybe this is a very tough audience to engage. So now this is, I think everyone is interested in how do you know that actually you're making change, you're making an impact. Because all of us want to do our work when you're making impact. You don't want to just do work when there is nothing that is changing, when there is nothing that is moving. So one, we have short term, because short term it's measurable. Like in visual arts, when you do a screening, you look at how many people have attended. For example, if you go and hire a theater for a launch, then you will see that if the theater's capacity is 240, and then you fill it to capacity, then you know, yeah, actually I'm communicating. But again, what is important, the people you invite, because with visual arts, basically it's important to invite people who are not specifically within your circles, you know, because you want to communicate, and with visual arts, as we saw, you're looking at a wider audience. So how do you engage a wider audience if you only want to invite the people within your circle? So it's important that if, for example, you know the capacity of the venue is 240 people, invite like 40 from your circle, the civil society, and but then try to look at different sectors, and then you try to invite them. You invite people maybe from corporate, from companies, people from hospitals, people from government ministries, and then let them come to your screenings. Then two, after the screenings, make sure you interview these people. And it's always important you do an interview when they are entering in. What are their expectations? So you get a broader picture of what are they expecting. And when the screening is finished, plus the Q&A, also it's important never to do a screening and then you just let people go. Make sure you have a screening and you have a Q&A. So when that is finished, interview them again, and then you try to see were their expectations met. Are they going back home with something? Have they learned something from the screening? So that's the short-term impact you can look at. That okay, my target was 240, I got 250. And also when when you go out, because our communities are spread, you can't say that I'll always do theater screenings only. Now you go out in the general public, you do some small screenings. Now this is where you need to be more strategic. This is where you need the networks I've been talking about. People within the local communities, they know whom to talk to when you want to organize a community screening. They know how you can go about with the security within the community. You can't just leave the area. For example, you can't leave Kampala and just go to Kasese, get a place and you start screening. No. You see, as we follow up, network is very important in different fields. Yeah, like I've been saying, so people will ask questions, ask them, what were your expectations? Have we met your expectations? What do you think can be done? Do you think, because now, like we are trying to, what we do is we want people to understand, we want to raise awareness, we want people to protect actually the LGBTI persons. You want people not to hurt them. So also in your different communities, there is something you're looking at. Maybe you don't want, you're fighting against gender-based violence. You want men to stop hitting women. You want men to stop denying women food. Maybe you're fighting against FMG. You want it to end, So you ask them as in what has changed, because we all enter into a screening with an open mind. Like, okay, maybe I want to see this, maybe I will see this, maybe I will see that. But then when you get out, you come out with something. So you ask them, and what they said there, try to document it and see how you're going to work, how you're going to use it to impact on your work. Two, when you're trying to measure impact, also try to follow your work. As we said, that the stories don't stop. For example, now, if you upload them on social media, try to monitor, try to be active. Don't just put a video up there and then you leave it and go. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, there's a project we did. It is now 1 year. It's called Life on the Street. I think it has most views. So yesterday I was contacted by a sex work group in San Francisco. They want to screen it on their festival. Because, and usually it's important that when you do this work, if you've got support, it's okay to upload it. When you have consent forms of everyone in the video, upload it on YouTube. Let it be open source, because it is work we are using to change societies. Okay, so the stories don't stop. This project was done 1 year, but now today people want to screen it in San Francisco. So that shows you the impact of visual arts, that because stories don't stop and stories don't go away, people will continue to use them to change something. Two. So now you look at that shows you impact, that people are picking on different stories and using them in different avenues, different countries, but for one goal, to advance human rights. Two, follow up on these media houses. Sometimes media houses, they know to create news bites. They will cut from your film, put it into their media bites, talking about some topic you're working on. So that shows you're creating impact. Two, so like when we looked at the target, or how do you select your target audience? For example, if you have lawmakers, engage them. Start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let them bring their friends. Do a small screening. Have a Q&A. If you have religious leaders, have them organize a small screenings. Have a Q&A. Follow up on the statements when you post your videos. One, follow up on the statements people make. Two, if you do this, you manage to do these small public screenings for targeted audience. Also follow up on the statements people make. Why? Because one, when you review like 100 comments, you might find like 65 are progressive, 10 might be abusive, insulting. But if you have even if you have 2 or 3, depending on where you're working on, at least you're making change. We should not look at impact mostly in terms of numbers. It's okay, numbers are important, but depending on the topics you're working on, you look, because change starts with you. That means change starts with an individual. That means you have 3 to 5 individuals who are making some change. The number will keep on growing. But if you want to start with a change targeting 1,000 people that's some on our side, logically that's not easy. It's important. So number 6, how do you use it to inform the current work? This goes back to feedback. When you get feedback, use it to inform your current work. For example, if you're working like now on the topic of transgender persons, people are like, but why is it that some don't want to show their faces? We told them it's important for us to we look into the security of the participants, because it's really important. You don't want people who you're working with at the end of the day to be killed, to be hurt. But so that was feedback, but they didn't know why we are doing it. For example, if people say that the sound was not okay, maybe the picture was not good, maybe when people question the topic, you go back and do some research. So that, for example, if you're doing a next project, your project is better than the first project. So now here we look at what is the impact of social media in our work and activism. I think we should embrace social media, like us who do visual arts. One, now the stories never stop. The stories are out there. And this is because that's what we look at. But again, also, it's important for us to know that, okay, if the stories are out there, but are they making change? For example, if only you have, for example, 15 viewers in Uganda, when most of the viewers are in the US, that means now you need to go back on ground and do more community screenings, And also, because of social media, it's very easy for us to create short clips, because those are easily shared. And nowadays, someone might not be on Facebook, but many people are now on WhatsApp. And now WhatsApp is also making it easier for us to communicate with different audiences. And as we know that with social media and art, every corner of the world gets to know about the issues you are fighting for, and also joining hands to achieve our goals. When people see the work they come and partner with you, move forward. That is when your That because when you're advancing human rights, we all believe that all of us have to be free. No one was born a prisoner, so we don't believe that people should be limited. Or people should have no one's freedom of expression actually should be limited. We all have to be free because we are born free and equal. So there is a video I want us to watch as we are about to close before we go into the Q&A.
It is disheartening to learn that among us there are young people, there are people of sexual and gender minority who are at the same time homeless.
Mama yangamba nze sizaala basiyazi
Nitarasobola kwesembeza kirani era n'agamba gwamanyi n'omwana we mweyiye entambula enzaaya
Discrimination both from friends, families, and even, the people that they stay with has actually led them to become homeless.
These young people also, some of them come from lawyers, from these judges, from people who are actually policymakers.
They have been pushed away from their homes by their parents, by their community members, and they have been thrown to the streets to face again another vulnerability.
Nakubibwa,
omusaayi nga gugenda ne gufulumiramu eno
I was raped.
poliisi nejja bankwate banzite either bansuule ewange.
Some of the raids came whereby at night, 1 a.m. At time netuuka nempira nga kyayakudde ewaffe esuubira emirembe.
Nentandika nga sula bwentyo nga wensanze okusula wenyumizaako n'omuntu nemwegayira nensulawo wakukkiriza neweebaka waagaana n'otambula.
It should not be happening.
I have learned to accept them and learn that is them.
Kale nze baga nti ndi musajja naye nze muli mpira ndi mukazi.
Love in any language, straight from the heart, binds us together, never apart. Once we learn to speak it, everyone can hear. Love in any language, fluently spoken here.
Yes, now when you look at these two videos, the one, it's about resilience and celebrating that this is who we are. Now in this last video, it's raising awareness on a problem that actually we are facing this problem. So when you're doing your video, visual media, even if you're doing pictures, even if you're doing illustrations, they have always to, you always need to have a direction. Like some might be celebrating something, others might be raising awareness on an issue. So thank you so very much for listening to me. And I think we'll be taking on some questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Vincent, for the great presentation and showing the videos. We're going to open for Q&A now. Okay, so our first question from Musa. What policies are in place in Uganda to protect the LGBTQI population? And this person is from Botswana.
Yes, there are no policies in Uganda that protect LGBTI persons. So being LGBTI actually it's legal and it can lead you to imprisonment.
Our next question coming from Hussein. What are some of the strategies to use in addressing LGBT issues in a culturally and religiously sensitive community?
Yes, I know this is a good question. When you're two things, one, there are people who are progressive on LGBTI issues. So what you do is you look at some of the elders that is on the side of culture, and then you try to engage them one-on-one. And if they agree, you make sure you tell them that, okay, I want you to make a comment, on this topic. You record it. The same with religious leaders. Then if they make such a comment, you share it. Believe me, when people see this, however sensitive communities are, I understand the community you're talking about, mostly some maybe in Arab countries, but the same here in Africa. But you start by engaging some of the elders one-on-one, and if they agree, you put out that message. But you make sure that you talk to them one-on-one and agree. You can't just have them all in a group and then you can achieve that.
And someone is typing. While we wait, I do have a question, Vincent, if I may. Oh, actually, let's go to the audience question and I'll come back to mine. So those short films are beautiful. So at Safe City, we work on creating safer public spaces for women. How could we use visual art to address gender-based violence in public spaces while also keeping in mind different cultures that people come from?
Yes. Now, when you look at the the gender-based violence you want to address, for example, if men are touching women's behind or touching their breasts, you try to go out there, then you try to record different clips on those incidents happening, and you compile them together. Then you show people how harmful this is, because the most important thing is to show the public how dangerous the act they think it's okay, actually it's not okay. And also, like I said, like when you talk about different cultures, now when I believe that most of our culture, when you do more research on some of these cultures, actually there are things they don't want us to know about. So you try to do as much as research as possible so that when you're doing this work, you relate it to some cultural backgrounds. Because I don't think that, because sometimes when you look at gender-based violence, we think it's all about beating, but there are some things we don't put focus on. So I think you look at all the different forms of gender-based violence, then you relate them, even if you find just one thing in that culture that you think it's really different from what you're trying to advocate for, and then you relate it to it, then you can have people understand what you're really talking about. Also, you show them the importance why you're doing what you're doing, and I like the idea that you have a public space whereby you're trying to show something.
Thank you, from Renita. So Vincent, if I may ask a question. I think for me, the biggest takeaway from your presentation is, as an evaluation person, really looking at the different ways to think to measure the progress. How do you know that you are making a difference? It's beyond counting numbers of people who attended the event, but really looking at a variety of data sources. One thing I'm curious about is when you say produce a video and engage different type of target audience, do you, before you engage, do you set certain target that allow you to say that this is, if we achieve this, it will be a success? For instance, do you set target for we want to see at least 50 people attending the event? We want to see at least 30% of them kind of sharing positive comments on social media. Do you set those kind of targets, and are they helpful at all for you doing this kind of work?
Yes, we always set targets, because if you don't have targets, you can't achieve anything. Now, for example, in the last video out in the call, we had a target of at least getting 4 religious leaders who are still active, you know. But again, we said, but even if we get 2, all 1, we shall have hit that target. So we had the highest target, that was 4, but again, we scaled down because we know it's not easy. So we hit the target by getting 1. 2, when we are doing a screenings, we make sure that the premiere or the opening, we always have a target of 350 participants whom we look at to come and attend. So if we have 300 or 200, we know we've hit the target. But if we don't reach in that range, we know maybe we didn't reach out very well. Now, for the targeted audience, we always set target. For example, with the religious leaders, we have a target of at least reaching out to 50 individual religious leaders. So why do we set these goals? It's that to help us also monitor that, because we look at it in this way, that if we have 50 religious leaders engaged, then we look at these 50 will tell, at least each one of them will tell one friend of his. So then we have 100. So that's how we always look at our target audience, that the number we set, we look at behind them, at least they will tell one or two individuals.
Great, thank you. That's very helpful. Okay, Vincent, before we end, are there any last minute, the final comments, recommendations for our audience?
Yes. One, it's always good. One of the most important things is to use visual arts is stories don't stop, and your work will always remain even if you go. What inspires us to use visual arts is we draw inspiration from all the movements that have been fighting for social justice. If we didn't look at these images, we didn't see the passion in their faces, maybe today we would not be advocating for change. Two, never be scared about your partner, the funder, whatever. If you have an idea, share it with them, But I would encourage you to use visual arts and engage a wider audience so that you can reach out to as many people as you can. But the most important thing, actually, which I think I didn't mention, is that always make sure you have them sign a consent form, and also in some instances make them have an audio and a visual recording consent, so that if they say that maybe they don't know that they signed something, at least you have a backup. Because the work we are doing, this is evidence based. The face is there, the voice is there, so you need to have backup, because someone can say that, I signed but I didn't know what you're going to do. So if you have those three, all two, very, very important.
Excellent. Thank you so much for those recommendations. With that, we are going to end our webinar session today. Thank you all for participating, for your great questions, and thank you so much, Vincent, again, for your great presentation.